Welcome to another episode of The Traumatic Tales of Dedman and Grumpy. So, as this is taking place of the second digital dismemberment, this is where we have some fun with some B-grade horror films. The rating system is a little bit different, so Grumpy, tell them how we do it.
Well, we got a three-tier system to kind of cover all of the bases here in the movies that we'll be watching. We're going to start off on Skulls. Skulls is your first tier, and that's going to be like the scariness or the, things that give the movie a real horror flavor, or maybe even commendable things they might do with special effects and things like that. Bones will be on a level of 1 to 5, and that's for you guys out there that are looking for a little something for the spank bank. If you want to hold on to that for a while. If a nipple will make an appearance, there will definitely be at least a 1.5 bone score. Hopefully that is just one full bone score for you. And finally we have leaves. We will recommend 1 to 5 leaves. One leaf being like that pill grandma left on the counter, where 5 is, you're sucking on tequila with a bong in your ass. Okay, so There you go. That kind of lets you know what the rules are, and you guys play along at home.
So let's get right into it. And the name of tonight's movie is Burial Ground, The Nights of Terror. Now, this is a 1981 zombie film directed by Andrea Bianchi. The film was released theatrically in the United States in 1986. It's also known in some territories as Zombie 3. The premise of the film is a professor opens a crypt and reanimates rotten zombies. The zombies attack a jet-set group which is celebrating a party at a villa nearby. Now, I kind of picked this one. Grumpy said he wanted a film that he can make a little bit of fun of, make a few jokes.
Oh my God, you will laugh at this movie.
So, I like this film for different reasons. I'm kind of exploring, trying to show Grumpy some older Italian stuff that I find really exciting, that I think he's going to have fun watching in different ways.
There was an older Italian stuff in that movie, and I found her very exciting.
We'll get to that.
Oh yes, we will get to that.
I find this to be an interesting film. Again, this was originally released in 1981, but again, it did not receive an American theatrical release till 86. So I think part of what's lost on it when people are, when they see 86, they don't realize the movie's actually 5 years older. And if you think about it from that standpoint, it does make you look at the film in a different way.
Right. Okay, so a lot of the characters in this movie had that 1978 to 1980 vibe about them, and the clothes and the hairstyles and the what the hells. And by the time we hit, 1986, 87, now we're into pastels. Miami Vice has happened. Everybody kind of followed that trend. Hairstyles changed a lot. The mullet started making that awesome debut. So, yeah, the movie seems behind the times of when it came out. And even if you look at, this isn't an awesome movie. If you look at Star Wars coming out in 77, which was freaking tremendous, you look at this movie coming out 4 years after that and just looking at some of the effects, and you're like, okay, well, you tried. It was a good, kindergarten play.
Definitely. What was fun with this is, I don't think it took itself, very seriously.
You can't take this movie seriously.
But I thought it was, like I said, keeping in mind, it's really a film from 81 as opposed to a film from 86.
That film could have been from 69 and still would have been pretty damn funny in some places by what was going on.
Sure. I think that some of the effects work in it was pretty cool. I know some of the zombies came across as a little goofy, but there were other ones that were...
And we will give the movie props in the area that they didn't use like 3 generic guys as zombies or even like 10 generic guys as zombies. there were many individual zombies in this movie. And one thing that was really cool that they did was they actually integrated worms into some of the masks that were used.
Maggots
to give them a more real effect.
True, there was that one rising from the ground scene that you really liked, where the zombie actually crawled for a bit,
right,
before he stood up.
Which was, to me, I think that zombies would crawl more than they would walk, because being slow, being out of balance, they would have an easier time not falling on their face, or maybe they just would repeatedly fall on their face and just remain crawling, whatever, due to weak bones or whatever would have happened to them.
Now, as far as if you want to call it one of the film's stronger points, one of the things that you even commented on were a lot of like the gut ripping sequences. Now, most of that was probably animal intestines and things like that.
But they were doing the job. They were putting that stuff in their mouth.
Oh,
and
yeah.
They were going to it. There was no fake eating of whatever chitlin shit that is covered in the fucking Tabasco sauce over there. They were putting this stuff in their mouth, eating it, swallow.
Right.
And no, But I will tell you that the nipple ripper.
I was going to get to that here in a second.
When we're talking about, really, I don't know what he was chewing up, but it was like some damn hard-ass beef jerky, some shit he pulled off his mama's titty.
Yeah, because he was trying to chew on that for a while.
It was funny as hell. This movie is just hilarious in the stupid shit that it does.
Well, let me ask you about that, because that actor is Peter Bark. And of course, he is a...
Is that bark off the ugly tree?
Well, he's an Italian. On his IMDb, as it states, just so in case anyone gets sensitive about this, it states that he's an Italian midget actor.
Okay.
So he in those styles of films, he did like 5 or 6 films. That's what he played, was kind of like the younger role, but he was more seasoned as an actor.
He does not have your typical little person,
right.
Bone structure,
yeah.
head shape, even body size. He looks just like a very small adult.
Yeah.
And it's creepy because he's playing a kid in this movie, but later, when you see how he feels about his mama,
right,
you will see that, they couldn't have a little kid playing this part because people would have gone to jail.
That's a valid point too. I think that's pretty good. Overall, I mean, I think this was just made. I don't want to make it sound like it was just a cash in, but I feel like it was in line with its times, and it helped progress zombie history. Again, now that you know this film was in '81, you can see progression of later zombie films from it instead of setting them back. His time frame does make a difference. By '86, you're talking about like Return of the Living Dead and shit like that. And those were so much more technically advanced than the early '80s Italian films, as you'll see later on. It's a quantum leap, so it does make a difference in where it's looked at in its history.
Whole movie filmed in a real castle. The backgrounds, the courtyards, all that stuff. If you're into old shit like I am, I love my wife. Anyway, this movie is awesome just for the scenery. You can really appreciate that while stupid people do things in a very awesome setting.
Right. Well, even you said things like the woodwork were quite extensive.
Yeah, but I love woodworking, and I get into that stuff.
Well, but that says something about it, because a lot of times a location can become its own character, like the hotel in The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
Things like the Camp Crystal Lake in the Friday. It's almost its own character.
Right. Yeah.
So, and this has that same appeal. So,
and also something you don't normally see in a zombie movie: zombies using tools.
Yes.
Chopping down very cheap ass doors. Cheap ass doors and go. Oh my god. Yeah.
And knife throwing. That motherfucker was a ninja, son.
Yes, the zombie does throw a knife through some poor girl's hand and hurt the Jesus out of her. And and then she just kind of stood there and went, oh, oh, oh.
Meanwhile, a scythe comes up above her neck and just lops her head off.
Yes, they kind of like sneak a damn scythe up there, like they're like rolling out paint real slow, kind of up the wall, because she's on a story and a half. She's maybe 12 feet off the ground, and the guy's sitting there. Dun, dun, dun,
it's dun, like watching his Jaws.
Like watching the Jaws fin come out of the back of that scythe. That shit was hilarious.
So overall, I mean, like I said, I thought this was a fun film, and let's check with our ratings. As far as skulls go, I mean, this isn't like an overly scary film. Now, if you're a little bit queasy in the stomach, like we said, the gut-munching sequences have some visceral quality to them, and there is some fervor putting into their eating. Like I said, I enjoyed the makeup, especially for being an effects artist, so there's a lot for me to appreciate. As far as the bones, there's a lot of nudity and sexual content in this film. This one is probably up there and around a 4, and for people that are into that time period, of women, that this is definitely a film that will draw your attention. As far as BB and B goes, this is one of my more favorite films. Again, it's a little bit more of an obscure film. Grumpy nailed it on the head when he said cult. It's definitely both of those, and I found this early in my film viewing career, so I understand where it is, where its place is in its history, and I think it advanced zombie films in a lot of ways. Not so much playful, but showed there were other ways to go about it. I would give it, just for the fun factor alone, I'd say 3 bowls would get you through this.
Well, if you're in a place that can use a bowl, well, maybe use a bowl to drink your beer.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's say bones. Skulls. Skulls. Yeah. We're going to look at this movie in the skull factor. Skull factor in this movie would be a 1 skull.
Wow.
Not scary, but some pretty cool effects. There's a zombie that comes up out of the ground in this movie, and you see his hands first, and that was actually very well done. And I, appreciate the amount of time it took to make that scene happen. And that one right there gives this movie a 1 skull. Bones. Oh my goodness. This movie will give you bones. This movie is a 4.5 on the boner scale. I would say this movie has some segments in it that would be equatable to soft pornography, which is I'm not complaining. Okay, and it makes it easier to put up with some of those faces that you see later when they do those damn zombies. And let's say, on the BB&B, I was about a 3.5 on the BB scale. So and I got to one point in this movie where I could not stop laughing because of some girl, like, she had melanoma on her face, and I started thinking melanoma was a Italian sounding name, and then I could not stop thinking melanoma gonna get it, and I literally cried laughing, saying melanoma gonna get it. Oh my God, for 5 minutes at least in this movie. So good.
See, and this is the prime example of sitting down with someone and enjoying a movie. And now, a word from our sponsor.
Titteroni. Titteroni is a fun new food toy for the whole family. Want to spice up the bedroom? Try Titteroni. Want to give your nipple a break from your weird-ass son? Titteroni. Did you want more toppings on your pizza? Titteroni. Titteroni is an edible nipple replacement made from hog dicks and camel toes. Titteroni, the rock-hard nipple treat. Look us up online at titteroni.com.